My mom said, tell a story. I remember when she was crossing over and she said, son, just make sure you tell our story. So I'm here to tell a story of me and my mom's life. You know, far back as I can remember, I originally come out the Pueblos, born and raised in them bricks, you know, straight from the mud. And I learned how to shoot marbles when I was in the Pueblos. You know, by the way, the Pueblos is Los Angeles, California, down in the bottoms, in the 20s, the low bottoms. A lot of real hustlers come out of there too. I'm gonna get into that as well because I remember some of the men that my mom dealt with. But that's why I first learned how to shoot marbles. I mean, throw rocks. I remember one of my friends, he threw a rock at me and it cracked my front tooth, and it's still cracked. And it's been cracked since the 70s, but you really can't notice. It's a little chip there. But I went to Holmes Avenue. I think I went there from the second, third, fourth, and fifth grade or something like that. I really don't remember. But all this was taking place, you know, in the 70s when I was in the Pueblos. I remember when some dude got shot in the stomach with a 12 gauge. I remember, I didn't know the guy, but I heard that he got his legs cut off by the train when I was living in the Pueblos. I can remember when the trains used to come through there, and I seen this big old box with a bunch of vases in it. And I took one of the vases out the box and went home and gave it to my grandmother. And I think she kept that thing for years and years to come. I remember just seeing my mama, you know, just nodding off. And during that time, my mother was a heroin addict. She was a heroin addict for years and years. I can remember on the weekends, I used to get a quarter. My grandmother or my mother would give me a quarter. And I would go across the tracks to this store. And man, I'd go purchase my favorite 9-laters, which is my apple 9-laters, a bag of chips, and a 7-Up soda. And I still have like a dime left. But remember, back then, a quarter, man, it'd take you a long, long ways. So I still had like a dime left. And then with that dime, I probably would, you know, purchase me some more 9-laters or something. But when I was going to Holmes Avenue, I guess I wanted to be a musician. I used to carry this big old trombone. I used to bring it home. And my grandmother said, boy, what you got? And I'd be in my room playing this, I guess that was a trombone, the one with the handle, and I'd be oiling it down. But I was, in the 4th grade, you know, and it just caught interest in me. And I would little kid walking that thing home. It was bigger than me, but I get it home, you know. But I had so much, you know, times, and I didn't know that we was poor. Not at all. We were just living life. And when I used to shoot marbles, it was right on the side of the bricks of the apartment. Our back door was right here, and our front door, and then right on the side, it was like a 10 feet long dirt pile, and then maybe 4 feet wide, and we'd be right there shooting the marbles. And I was cold with it. I used to take them boulders. I used to like to take my friends boulders, you know. But man, I learned a lot over in the Pueblos, man. And you know, and once again, I come home, you know, mom nodding off, you know, but she was on that heroin, you know, and my mother was a beautiful woman. And man, I love my mama. Man, I ain't never talked back to my mama. I ain't never disrespect my mama. I love my mama. And a couple of hustlers I knew that she messed with, this man named Charlie Powell. He was real dark skinned, but had white teeth. But he was smooth talking, but he was an addict too. But my mother told me he was a bank robber. But Charlie Powell was so cool. And when I come in the house, he talked so smooth, be like, hey, Kevin, how you doing, young man? I mean, he was just so nice and pleasant to me. and maybe give me $1.50 sometime, But Charlie Powell was real cool. And him and my mother was together a long time. And she messed with this other hustler from the bottoms named Noya. Noya was a hustler. Noya had this record shop. And I can remember when he had the record shop, it was right on Central. And my mother used to go to on Imperial in Western. It was Kmart there, and they used to sell albums in Kmart's. So my mother would go in there. So as years went on, I found out Noya was sending my mama on missions to go to Kmart and get these albums so he may replenish his record shop. And that's how he was getting his albums from Kmart. But he would send my mother in there. My mother would be with me. I'd be with my mama. And we'll go into Kmart. And it was this big old, back then they had the big wheel was in a box. And every time when I went with my mother the first time, I thought the big wheel was for me. I was getting the big wheel. And my mother would put that box in the basket and go up and pay for it. And she had did that several times. And I was with my mama all that time. But I was thinking I was getting a big wheel. But come to find out, that's how Noya was putting his albums in his record shop. Because he would go to that store prior, take the big wheel out, this is what I'm assuming, and stuff that box with albums. See, my mother was a real hustler. My mother was down for her man from what I seen. And he would go there and stuff that box full of albums. But I'm thinking it's a big wheel. But all along, my mother was going to get that big wheel box, and it was nothing but albums in there. And she would take it back to the record shop for him, and me and my mama be cruising. And my mother had a Photo 64, clean, red interior. It was white. It was white with red interior, and that's how I learned how to drive that red Photo 60. That white Photo 64. I was like maybe 12 years old, and my mother used to let me bag it out the driveway, bag it in, pull it back up in the driveway. And this is when we moved on 116. So I'm gonna be probably going back and forth. A lot of stuff might not be in order, but I'm going back to the Pueblos. But I can remember when I was coming up. My mother used to send me to the temple right on Central. I guess it was Central and 30 something. Really don't remember, and send me over there with the Muslim brothers. And it was like about 20, 25 little boys. Man, we'd be suited. And then the temple was on one side. And then the kids, we would cross the street to the other side. But what far as I can remember, they was teaching us structure, discipline, and knowing how to love yourself and who you are. And that's what they was teaching us back then. And I remember going there several times. And Mom kept me in a suit sharp because, I guess them hustlers, was, breaking that money off, And I remember on some Saturdays, when I couldn't get a quarter, I used to create my own treat. We was poor back then. We was really poor back then. But back then, we didn't think that we were. But man, my mother, when my mother couldn't give me a quarter, right? I'll create my own treat. I used to take a piece of bread, put some butter on it, and pour a lot of sugar on it, and then I shake the sugar off the bread, and I will put it up under the oven, and then let the heat hit it, and it'll get crispy on the outside, and then it'll get maybe it'll be soft in the middle. But that was my sweet treat. I used to take milk and put sugar in the milk and stir it up and put it in the freezer and let it freeze. That was my treat, and it was like ice cream to me. And after it get hard, I take my spoon, and it was milk and sugar, and I would eat it. But that was my little treat. And that was the times when I couldn't get my quarter on Saturday. So, back then, kids, I was creative. I had to be. You know what I'm saying? Because, mama and grandmama didn't really have the money like that. But those are some of the men, that that I knew that my mom was dating. You know, I remember a couple of brothers, you know, named 2 Cent, 5 Cent, you know, Big Crump. Big Crump was a real hustler. I'm going to bring up Big Crump later on in a few, you know, maybe on my next volume. But I just wanted to share this during my time, that far as I can remember, back when I was in the Pueblos. But I'm from the Pueblos originally. Oh, and I do remember, I think it was a Coca-Cola across the street. It was a little center where me and my friends go play and flip on the bars. But like to the right to that, I don't know if it was a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi company. We used to hop the gate and go get the sodas, and then it was these little straps. You know, remember we in elementary, but we was way mature for our age. And it was these little straps that used to strap around the sodas. We used to break them, and they was black, and they had little holes in them. And we might do it. We might do like a few inches long, and then bend it, and then we'll bend it together, and then make whistles out of it. It was amazing, and it blew like whistles. That's what we used to do. I mean, hey, we had to be creative when we was coming up. But that's as far as I can remember, you know, when I was up in the Pueblos. And like I say, this was during the 70s, you know, and I had plenty of fun over there in the Pueblos, man. I haven't been down that way in a little while, but that's where I'm bred from. Born and raised, right out the bottoms, you know. Talking about straight from the mud, you know. So guess what? From the bottoms to the top. From the bottoms to the top. And when I say top, I ain't talking about finances. And you're going to hear me say that several times. From the bottoms to the top. And I'm not talking about money when I say to the top. You'll see what I'm speaking about. But maybe God bless you. Thank you for listening to me. And you make sure you follow me. Follow me on, matter of fact, subscribe on YouTube. Love Collection, the number 4, ever.com. Love Collection, the number 4, ever.com. Subscribe on YouTube so you can hear the whole story. May God bless you. May God continue to keep you.